Today, for a brief while, not a brief while, I've decided to make many lecture sessions on the Constitution of India, one of the longest constitutions in the world. Please understand that every country has a constitution. I've been trying to research as much as possible on various kinds of constitutions of various countries. Now, for many more sessions from now on, I would like to make certain presentations of the Constitution of India, and people around the world or whoever it might be who's interested in knowing the Constitution will have a very crisp idea or a very simplified idea, not simplified idea, a simplified understanding of what Constitution of India is all about. Now, what is a constitution? I have quite a bit of books and material collected here, which are very interesting because I'm going through them off and on. I don't know where it's written. In this text, it is written. What is a constitution? That's a very nice question to ask. Is constitution a set of laws? Maybe, but it is not what it is. In one line, constitution is a text from which various laws of a land are drawn, are created. To that extent, constitution is a text. Constitutions can be amended from time to time because as the world changes, scenarios change, many new situations emerge. So I can amend the constitution. For that, I have to get a majority for that, for some majority vote in the parliament. Nonetheless, what is this? I've defined to you what is constitution. Constitution is a text. It's not from which any other laws are created. I create a text. Just like any text, I've got many chapters in which are called as parts of a constitution. And each of these parts have got various kinds of articles under them. Some of these articles are written as schedules. If you want to say an article about an article is a schedule. If you want, you can say that. It tries to sometimes says, try to not show, try to emphasize certain special characteristics of the given article. But it's enough for most people to understand that constitution is a text. It's a text that runs any country. I sometimes sit in the library of the National Law School and I have done extensive reading about the constitution so much so that I become a de facto expert in constitution. I can write the constitution of any country. Indian constitution is largely drawn from the English constitution, the Irish constitution. Men like Krishna Menon were largely involved in the design and development of our constitution. Of course, Ambedkar sir was the man who went into the finer details. Now, before I go any further, this is going to be a very enormous subject. See, it's written here exactly in this book. Um, Indian Constitution, one of the longest constitutions of the world. It has 22 parts with 395 articles, main articles. Total number of articles is 444. Yeah. As I told you, some of those articles per article, it describes the limitations of certain articles. But for as a matter of fact, as this text says, it has got 395 articles. Don't be worried too much about the specifics of it. It will change with time, but anyway, go through it when you, if you're needed. Okay. It has gone. Our constitution has undergone more than 93 amendments. And please check up exactly. I'm not a very statistics man. It has gone. It has got more than 93 amendments since it was created. Now there are many other facts. I hope I could. Now, yeah, 22 parts, 395 articles. Total articles 444 according to this text. Please keep that in mind. Now, today I will only go through part 1, part 2, part 3 of the Constitution in this lecture. And I will very crisply, very quickly go to certain major articles. To sum up what I said so far, please understand that Constitution is a text. It's a text from which many laws are created. Constitutions can be, by through act of parliament, be amended. Indian Constitution, according to this book, has got 395 articles. Total articles 444. 444 minus 395 are schedules. It gives explanation of other articles, and these are, it has undergone more than 93 amendments. Now, this is what, in crisply, what I have said so far about the Constitution of India. Now, this book, I like what he says, which I definitely have to read out for you. I cannot memorize this, and I don't want to memorize it also. The essence is that when you go through this matter, what I'm saying, the whole matter of the constitution should be very simple. I am going to make one lectures of all the constitutional countries of the world. It's my aim in life as of now. Someone is going to call me internationally to maybe make some comments or additions, or because I've gone through the constitution of various countries, and I will through this medium. I start with the Indian Constitution, but I'm going to talk about all the constitutions of the world, as many countries that we have, and it will be when you sum up all these kinds of inputs, you can fine-tune constitutions of countries around the world. United Nations also has got a constitution called the United Nations Charter. The challenge is to make a constitution for the entire world and make the entire world follow it. That would be the ultimate challenge in the field of constitution. Now, I will, before I go any further, I will try to read out what this man has written here, and this is very interesting to me. The Constitution defines and determines the relationship between. I'm going one step ahead. I'm trying to understand, tell what the Constitution is. Or you can also write any Constitution. I'm talking Indian Constitution. Defines and determines the relations between various institutions and the areas of government. Relationship between various institutions and areas of government. Point number one. Point number two, executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. The relationship between, point number one, various institutions and the areas of government. What does it mean, various institutions? Institutions of polity, institutions of public importance. It also says relationship between executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. Third, central government, state government, and local governments. Relationship between central government, state government, local governments. People and the government. Political, social, and economic issues. Does the judiciary come under the constitution? That's a nice question. Judiciary definitely comes under the constitution. That is what he tries to say, various institutions and the areas of government. The text of the constitution, when we will be coming to that very slowly, because you should understand this, even when you're handling various cases, the legal fraternity, you must understand that the judiciary, which is organ of government also comes under the constitution. How the judiciary and various aspects of the judiciary interact with each other is also written clearly in the constitution. Now I have read out what this man has said for what this book has said. It definitely shall repeat it again so that various a constitution defines and determines the relationship between various institutions and the areas of government, executive, legislative, and the judiciary, central government, state governments, and local governments, people and the government, directive principles of state policy. We will come to that later. Political, social, and economic issues. Political, social, and economic issues. Political, social, and economic issues. Human rights is a social issue. Now, this is what is basically what this text says. The constitution of any country is all about. If you someone were to write a constitution, he must list all these various aspects of government to start with, various social, economic, and political issues. And if you can fine tune all these things into various kinds of articles, for to a large extent, you have got a constitution in place, and from which various other laws can be derived. Constitution states certain fundamental standards, and it is complete and all encompassing. Now there is a preamble of the Constitution. That's very interesting to me. Now I think I have told so much. We are only going to go to the part one, part two, and part three of the Constitution of India as much as possible in this lecture. I think I'd have got because this is such a very vast subject. It's a matter of it's quite voluminous. But please go through what I'm trying to talk in the next few, not few, in the many sessions. For good or bad, law has got into me, and I don't want to live it because I very often it's a very interesting area to be in. I'm basically an electrical engineer. Nonetheless, engineering people can handle law very well because they can engineer the law. Law sometimes comes from common sense, which people from the engineering and other professional fraternity can add value. Now, please listen to me. What is this? What is the preamble? Preamble means before I say anything. Amble means move in English. Latin word amble means move. Preamble means before I move, before I go anywhere. This is the preamble of the Constitution. This is what Constitution, the fundamental principle on which this Constitution is written. This is very interesting for me. I think I should read out for you. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all the citizens, positive part, what I'm going to read from now on, secure to all citizens justice, social, economic, and political justice, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. Fraternity means assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves this Constitution. I think it's called Law Day. The 26th day of November 1949. Now, this is the most important foundation, the root around which Constitution says justice, liberty, equality, fraternity, Four, rather, not five, four. Four. Now, we first of all defines India as a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. Whatever that word republic means, we are sovereign. Anyone, see, it's very important to study the constitution because anyone who is acting on behalf of the government must have a very solid understanding of this constitution. He must abide by it and he must respect it. He must refer it. I think this is not taught in detail in colleges. What I mean to say is that every Indian citizen must know this. I have always believed that a 4-year BTech program must be created in social engineering, top priority. And some subjects of social engineering must be introduced in engineering and medical colleges too, and other colleges too. And one of the important concepts of aspects of social engineering is the constitution and how it evolves from time to time. So I've told you what is the preamble of the constitution. Preamble is beyond the articles. I've not studied the articles of the constitution. I'm just saying the preamble. This is what the constitution's fundamental root is. It has to ensure justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. That word fraternity is very interesting to me. Assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. Assuring the dignity of the individual. That's a human right. Now I have made such thing. Now let us sum up what I said. I said constitution is the text from which various other laws are created. Constitutions can be amended through act of parliament. Every country has a constitution. Indian constitution has got 22 parts, 395 articles, total articles 444, including the schedules. It has undergone more than 93 amendments, and constitutions can be amended from time to time through act of parliament. And the most important thing is that then I start with the preamble of the constitution. Before I go anywhere, this is what the constitution is all about. India is a sovereign, social, secular, and democratic republic. Sovereign. We are socialistic. We are secular, democratic republic. Sovereign means someone was trying to define the word called sovereignty. Sovereignty means I have got a territory. Sovereignty means I have got a very clear territory, boundary, and that is the territory of India. And this constitution is sovereign also within that area of within that text, within that boundaries. But the word sovereignty means simple means I have my own right to make my own laws within my country and execute them. I am sovereign. I cannot be unduly influenced by any foreign or non-state actor. If someone is influenced non-state actor, it is infringing upon the sovereignty of the country. This is what the word called sovereign is all about. Now I have given. Now slowly, step by step, let us go to the various articles of the Constitution. Let us go through it as quickly as possible. I told you we have 22 parts. I am now in part 1. Part 1 very clearly says the union and its territory. Please understand that India is a union of many states. We are an Indian union according to the Constitution. Constitution. Now, what is it to say? Article 1 of the Constitution, name and territory of the Union. We are called India. We are also called as Bharat according to the Constitution. The states and the territories thereof shall be specified in the first schedule. The territory of India shall comprise. This is most important thing in this. Part 3 of Article 1. The territories of the states, the union territories specified in the first schedule, and other territories as may be acquired. What a beautiful statement. What is India. India is a union of, it will comprise of territories of the state, the union territories. And I can always, I have got the freedom to add another territory from somewhere if, if someone wishes. Definitely, if someone wishes, due to certain economic reasons, some territories extraneous to the Indian sovereign land as it stands today can be added through parliamentary enactments. Now, I have said that this is most important to me. Article 2 talks of the admission or establishment of new states. That means I can make new states too. Article 3, formation of new states, that is okay. Last amendment article, okay, it shows Article 4. Now, according to me, in this part 1, this article number 1 is most important. Please remember that Article 1 defines India as a union of states. And the territory of India shall comprise of territories of the state, union territories, and any other territory that it might acquire. Now, that's the most important part of part 1, article 1. Other articles of within that, there are 4 articles in this part 1 of the constitution. You can definitely go through it or at leisure. Now, I am coming to part 2 very quickly. Part 2 talks about citizenship. Article 5 of the constitution talks about citizenship. Now, continuance of rights. Every person who is or deemed to be a citizen of India, I'll come to that. Parliament to regulate the right of citizenship by law. But I'm coming to the most important thing. That is Articles 5 to Article 11, according to this text, talks about citizenship, Part 2 of the Constitution. Now, there are many kinds of, this has to be got to in detail. It can come in international cases when children are citizens of two countries. Some of these constitutional provisions must be invoked by lawyers when they defend some case, because he has to definitely take this text with him and read it in front of the judge, saying that this is what the constitution is written. See, constitution is a document that is written very carefully, very elaborately, without any. It must encompass everything. It must encompass the life of an infant. It must encompass the life of an elderly person. It must encompass the life of a student. It must encompass the life of women. It must encompass the life of animals within the sovereign territory of India. I cannot leave anything untouched. So that is the challenge of making a constitution, because I cannot, when I argue some case somewhere, I cannot come to the point that nothing about it is written in the constitution. Then I have to modify the constitution, amend it, and add these articles. Now I have talked about citizen. Let us see what this man says. As I will repeat it again. Article 5, Article 1 to 4 is part 1. It talks about the territory of India, Union and its territory. Article Part 2 of the Constitution, citizenship. It covers from Article 5 to Article 11. But I will just read out Article 5 for you. At the commencement of the Constitution, every person who has his domicile in the territory of India and who was born in the territory of India, or either of his parents who were born in the territory of India, or who has been ordinary resident of the territory of India for not less than 5 years, immediately preceding such commencement, shall be a citizen of India. At the commencement of the Constitution, it goes to the date. This is an case cannot be applied everywhere. As of this date of the commencement of the Constitution, anyone born in the territory of India is immediately a citizen of India, either of whose parents were born in the territory of India. Now, so many English people who lived in India, they cannot be a citizen of India because they were born before the enactment of the Constitution. And who has been ordinary resident in the territory of India for not less than 5 years, immediately preceding such commencement, shall be a citizen of India. Let us be very careful. Who has been ordinary resident in the territory of India for not less than 5 years, immediately preceding such commencement, shall be a citizen of India. I don't know what that means. It would be an expert legal opinion to see what it means. But I'm just trying to give you a gist of this. If someone has lived in India for 5 years, post 19, when the enactment of the constitution, he has got some right to be a citizen of the country. That would definitely be what some it means. Citizenship is a complex issue. It would involve issues like matrimony and all that. Anyway, we are not going too deep into it. Plus, please understand this. This is an issue by itself that has to be studied under a microscope to see that citizen, anyone born with the territory of India, is a citizen of India. Post the enactment of the constitution, the date which is given here, it's the 26th of November 1949. That is the date when this was enacted. Or the date also can be dispute. This comes the constitution comes to effect in 1950, but still it involves such matters. But this is what it is. I hope I made myself clear. Rights of citizenship of certain persons who have migrated to Pakistan. Rights of citizenship of certain migrants to Pakistan. Article 7 of the Constitution. Rights of citizenship of certain persons of Indian origin residing outside India. Persons voluntarily acquired citizenship of foreign state not to be a citizen. Very important. Article 9 of the Constitution. No person shall be a citizen of India or Barcelona. Article 5. Article 5 is what I told you now. Or be deemed to citizen in India by virtue of Article 6 or Article 8 if he has voluntarily acquired citizenship of foreign state. That means he has voluntarily acquired citizenship of some foreign country, citizenship of India doesn't exist. I think when some of these laws have gone under changes, well, please understand that the part 2 of the Constitution talks about citizenship. See, this is a very elaborate thing which needs various levels of judgment. The problem with the Constitution or constitutional studies is that they are quite conflicting nature. They can have many riders. They can have many special situations. It needs judicial acumen to interpret these things and come to a right kind of conclusion. It will infringe upon various other areas of conventional law, which also has to be seen. And if certain any other things are needed, it had to be added to the constitution. Plus, please understand this is citizenship. If according to me, if someone has stayed in this country for 5 years, within the territory of India for 5 years, he has got some right to be citizenship, right towards citizenship. That's what I interpret from this law. If he is born, by default he's a citizen. Even if according to the law, if any of his parents were born in the territory of India, he has the right to citizenship of India. There was an argument between me and Sarasu Yester Thomas in the human rights law class in National Law School. We were talking some of the issues of citizenship and documentation that's needed for citizenship. I hope I've made myself clear. Article Part 1, I've told you something about the territory of India. It defines the territory of India. The Part 2, Articles 5 of the Constitution to Article 11 talks about the citizenship issues. Here I'm insisting that this needs more detailed study. Only an expert, that itself is an expert area of expertise in the Constitution, the concept of citizenship. But the world is changing. Some of these laws also can be subject to change through temporary acts of parliament. And pending certain changes, in certain situations, the executive has got certain special provisions to enact certain laws, which can later be incorporated in the constitution. But as of now, this is what the constitution says. Now, this is the very interesting thing for me. Part 3 of the constitution talks about fundamental rights. Article 12 of the constitution up to, I think it's article almost 34. Let me be very crisply clear. Compulsory acquisition of property up to article I think this I've only done this directive principles of state policies, article 36. That will up to article 35. Article 12 of the constitution to article 35 of the constitution comes under part 3 of the Indian constitution. It talks about fundamental rights. Now I've got the conference, right? The conference constitution of a country. Um, because now I understand what it is. What are certain subtle things, nuances that's needed. Now, let me talk to you about fundamental rights. Very interesting thing for me because it's going to take quite some time. I hope I've got time. I want to. It's already 30 minutes, I think. It's not very clear to me. But let us see. I will finish off this as fast as possible. Fundamental rights of the Constitution. Fundamental rights as written in the Constitution. Now, very quickly, no, this is something I might need another separate session. No, this is very interesting. This is very important for me. I cannot do it in the passing. It's enough for you to know that as of now, Article 12 of the Constitution to Article 35 of the Constitution. Let me be very clear about this so that there is no confusion. Up to the Article 35 of the Constitution. Article 12 to Article 35 talks about fundamental rights. Now, here I would like to reserve and this for another lecture, the lecture 2 of the Indian Constitution, where I will, because this needs more special treatment. It's a very important part of the Constitution, which talks about fundamental rights of the Constitution. Now, here I have, to a large extent, to some extent at least, yeah, I'm just looking at the time. The Constitution of India and try to surmise or summarize certain basic aspects of it. Um, the part 1 and part 2 of the Constitution. Part 1 talks about the territory of India, and the part 2 talks about citizenship issues, which I think I have explained to some extent. The next part is fundamental rights. I need to devote separate time for it, which I will be doing later. So as of now, I will call it off. Thank you very much. This is Supriyo Subhash from Bangalore, India.